Hello good people of YouTube and welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to carry on building my Bretonnian army and I'm going to look at using proxy models from other manufacturers. I've got a lot to get through and I'm trying to keep each video short. I will be taking a quick look at these models from Fireforge. I'm not sponsored by Fireforge. I don't have any association with them at all. It's just I like what they do. I'm using their stuff in my conversions and I'll be talking about that in this video. I will be doing separate reviews of each of these boxes that they produce. Since I last checked out their website, which was a long time ago, their range has expanded and there's a lot going on. So I'll be dealing with all that separately. In this video, I'm simply going to concentrate on Games Workshop minis, the Games Workshop Bretonnian army, and what you can do with other stuff to add variety and make a very unique and different looking unit or even army. Now you can probably see in front of you here that we've got some figures. Some of them you might recognize from previous videos that I've done. I just want to focus on this unit in this video to talk through what we've got in front of us. And this is my unit of squires for the old world. I've had a look through the old world rule books, the Forces of Fantasy, and the Bretonnian Arcane Journal. I've had a flick through to familiarise myself with what's there. Haven't played a game yet, still a way off from that, but I'm getting to understand roughly where things sit versus the army that I bought 20 years ago. Now, these characters at the front here are old GW metals. We've got Bertrand, who was essentially their version of Robin Hood. So this character was called Bertrand, and I believe when this figure came out in sort of 1996, but when they released these plastic Bretonnians the first time round, from what I can remember, the new army book had Bretonnian huntsmen, a unit of huntsmen, which were basically skirmishing bowmen. And looking at the new stuff for the old world, the same unit is now called squires, or it's been amended to have some of the characteristics. So your squires are they're not peasants, but they're not nobles. They're something in between. They're attached to a knight or a lord or a noble who, according to the fluff, will probably fight in a unit like this. I know this has, this creates mixed feelings with people. Some people hate this unit of Knights of the Realm on foot. Some people love it. I will be building this week and seeing how I get on there. So your squires are basically somewhere in between peasants and nobles, and they're armed with bows and a hand weapon, and they form up in a unit, and they can skirmish and kind of move through difficult terrain and other bits and pieces. So like I said, it's all off the top of my head and I'm just getting used to it. But this unit of squires is one that I've built using the 3 original GW character models that I had for my command. So we've got Bertrand there, and I'll pull them out again in a second. We've got Hugo, and then either Guy or Guy, who is basically a Friar Tuck model, and that is Little John, and that is Robin Hood. Sits very nicely in a unit which is kind of, Robin Hood and his merry men, if you like. So, although having said that, I have got a female character there, that I thought I might use as a Maid Marian. So it's not just merry men, it's it's a bunch of models with a lot more interest than perhaps just the basic peasant bowman. So next I'm going to talk about how I've created this unit, because the only Games Workshop models that I've used so far are these 3 character models here, and I'll just pull them out for a better look again. Now, these aren't available anymore. I don't know if they were made available in any limited, sort of offer that GW had on their website, whether they were kind of re-released for a while. I'm not sure that they were. If you look on eBay, these 3 models will set you back anything from 90 to 150 pounds, which is silly money, really. So I'm glad I kept mine, and these have been kicking around in the bottom of a bits box, and they now form the command for my Bretonnian Squires. So this is Bertrand there. This is Hugo, which is very, very definitely a Little John type character. And this is Guy or Guy. And basically, that's a Friar Tuck. Love all the tankards he appears to have round his belt, in addition to the barrel on his back. My guess is that I'm using this guy as a musician, but my guess is he would probably be some kind of morale officer. So anyway, you can probably see from the bases there, these guys were on tabs. You can probably see from the bases there that, I've done a bit of filling. Just to talk quickly about that, I've got loads of bases which are from Dyson Games. These aren't GW slot bases, but they're the same dimension, 25 by 25. I just roll up a little sausage of green stuff mixed with milliput, and I'll fill the slot in if I'm using miniatures that require a solid base. Just, make sure I don't gunk it up too much. Let that dry, scrape off any excess, and it just helps if you're applying any textured basing paints or whatever. At least there are no holes in your bases. So that's how I deal with it. I know other people do different things, but in case you're wondering what all the green mess is on these bases, that's because I've built the models, I've filled the gaps in on the bases, I've stuck them down, and these are now ready to be undercoated. So the rest of the troops are basically these guys here, which I have featured before, and as I said, I will be doing a separate review on another video. Now, I bought these the other day because I did have a box already which has got some old artwork on, and again, I'll look at that when I review these and review the sprues. But these guys, I love these guys, even though I think the studio assembly doesn't show them off to their best. There's some very weird poses in there that aren't the models looking at the best. So anyway, but I've got some of these, and this is a sprue that I haven't touched yet, so I can basically show you what you get. As I said, I'll do a separate review in a different video, and I'll pop a link. Once I've created that, I'll pop a link in the description of this one. But here you can see the heads you get. They're lovely, full of character, and they very much fit the Bretonnian vibe that I want to create. They do, I think, go well with the Games Workshop Bretonnians. These perhaps look a little bit more angry, but again, they've got a similar kind of characterful vibe. So I will be looking at head swaps on Bretonnians in a later video. But here what I've done is basically I've not used the heads on these guys here. I've used Bretonnian heads, but I have used the bodies and I have used the arms. and some of the other bits and pieces. So we've got some more heads there that are quite nice and characterful. So as I said, I will be reviewing this sprue and this box in a later video, but these are Fireforge's Deux Vult medieval archers. Now I bought a box, I think of 32 there. They seem to be messing about with the content because that's a sticker. There were 32 in this box that I got for 23 quid. I have seen the last box I bought, I think only had 24 in, and that was a few years ago. So these are some of the bodies that I've been using. The other box that I've been using for bits is this, and I will be doing a separate review on these as well. This is the Folk Rabble from Fireforge, but it's their Forgotten World range, which is fantasy and sort of, you know, battles in kind of in northern realms somewhere, and lots of undead, lots of dwarves and things, but they call them different names. These are essentially medieval villagers, and I have to say, when I bought this box, I was so impressed. I went back to my local hobby store and bought the rest of the boxes. They're really good, and I'll be talking more about these in other Warhammer Old World videos, because the size and the kind of scale of them fits really well. I'll be building a whole bunch of these to make some sort of townsfolk / militia, which I want to use in a Empire Old World army. I did used to have an Empire army and I sold it all, sadly, but I think these guys will make some really nice militia, especially if they're mixed in with a few of the original Empire plastics. Should Games Workshop release them next year for the Old World, then I'm definitely going to be combining these miniatures. As I said, these are the Folk Rabble, Northman Folk Rabble from Fireforge. So yeah, anyone who plays Dead Man's Hand will kind of recognize the sort of layout here, where we've got lots of weapons and bits and pieces on the sprue. Obviously, this is all medieval. It's not Old West. But what you do have is a series of heads. There are 10 heads there, which I think are all male, and there are 5 female heads as well. And again, if you've encountered any of the Dead Man's Hand gunslingers, you'll be familiar with this sort of concept, where you've got the back of the female head has a little notch in it, and somewhere on the sprue there are some plaits and ponytails and things. So I've built some of these and I'll show you them in a second, but I've been using the bodies, and you do get one archer weapon arm combo, which I've been using for my Bretonnian Squires. So just very quickly, before I get into those, there is one of the female figures that I've built with a basket but no weapon. I'm probably going to put some hens or something on the base with her, but there's another female here which I've built again as a just sort of townsfolk or medieval villager, and she's carrying an empty bucket. Oh, I may as well show you the 4 that I've built now, actually, because there's one there sweeping with a broom, but I don't know if you recognize that head. I think that head is actually from Dead Man's Hand. That's hair in a bun. So that's a Dead Man's Hand Gunfighters 2 head with a Fireforge body for one of their Folk Rabble, female Folk Rabble. And lastly, we've got this one here who I built with a sickle in her hand. So they make some cracking models. There's a chap there that I've built, and I'll be using these, as I said, possibly in an Empire army. But I like the vibe so much that I thought, right, how how can I fit these into my Bretonnian army? So here we are. Now basically what I've got is here's the bowman built up from the Fireforge Folk Rabble box, but I've added some of the bits and pieces you get from the Bretonnian archers. There's the mallet and the sack and so on, and I've been doing head swaps. So pretty much every figure in this unit that is plastic has a Bretonnian head. Obviously my little attempt at Maid Marian doesn't. She's straight out of the box of Folk Rabble from Fireforge, but I've done head swaps on all the other figures. So there's a Bretonnian head on a Fireforge Folk Rabble body, and I think that works really well. Regards the medieval archers that I've used, again, same thing. Now I've had to trim the heads and trim the necks on the bodies a little. I haven't finished, obviously. You can see there's still bits like on the bow there that need to be trimmed off, but I wanted to get these assembled and just show you a quick video before I prepare them for painting and undercoating and so on. But that is a Bretonnian man-at-arms head stuck onto a Fireforge medieval archer's body, and I've done that quite a lot throughout the unit. Here we've got another one with a Bretonnian, is that a quiver of arrows? I don't know, but anyway, stash of arrows and a head from the Bretonnian. So this was the unit that I wanted to focus on in this video, and I'm trying to give you an overview of all the stuff I've done. Some of the heads work better than others, but I was trimming the necks down just to get it right. Now this needs a bit of green stuff around the shoulder there because I've moved his arm out slightly to just kind of bring it onto the hilt of his sword. But I've done 24 of these. That was quite a nice one as well. That worked well. Another Bretonnian archer head on a Folk Rabble body. And I think this one too. There you see there's a rat and a turnip or something, which comes from the Peasant Bowman box, and a head from the Peasant Bowman on a medieval archer's body from Fireforge. So that's the unit, and you can probably see, I've mentioned this before as well, I know that when you're fighting kind of dogs of war or empire, that you can have imperial dwarves, imperial ogres with your empire army, or at very least you can create a dogs of war army. You've got some halflings from the moot in some of the fluff, and I like the idea that dwarves and halflings would fight with any race of human, or any faction of human. And I don't think, I'm sure there's people out there that would disagree, but from just a point of view of personal taste and loving the aesthetic, I don't think there's anything wrong with adding some halflings in amongst your Bretonnian troops, if you wish to. And that's what I've done here with this unit. My 24 Bretonnian Squires contain 5 halflings, which are my own sculpts. And I actually sculpted these for the Battleforge, so again, they're still available on the Battleforge website. All of it owned and managed now by Ainsty Castings. And these I did quite a while ago. I did them on little tabs, which obviously fitted into slot bases. Originally they were designed to go on smaller bases, but I think 25 by 25 is the smallest you get in the old world now. So I did these pack of 5 halfling huntsmen, and I happened to have some lying around, and I just thought, right, let's get them into a Bretonnian army. Now I mention it because you may be interested in doing the same. I'm not connected with the Battleforge anymore, except I'm the guy who did the sculpts when it was my business. I don't profit at all from mentioning it or advertising anything that I've done. I'm just purely doing this from the point of view of making interesting looking units and using stuff from other manufacturers, whether I sculpted it in the past or whether it's someone else's product. Doesn't matter to me. If it fits with what I'm trying to achieve, then that's why I talk about it. So these guys are some of mine that I did a while ago, and they're very much in that kind of medieval sort of genre with what they're wearing and stuff. So yeah, I like them. I haven't really had the chance to paint these guys since sculpting them, certainly not as well as I would have liked. So this is my opportunity as well, just to get some paint on them and see how they pan out. But there's 5 different sculpts there that I've done, which I've shoved into this unit. And I just think it just adds a bit of character. There's, they're unique, they're fresh. There's some nice GW models in there that kind of anchor the aesthetic in with the Bretonnians. There's all the head swaps that I've done. As I said, some work better than others, but I was just trying. And I think when I paint the Bretonnians, I'm going to be going for a very kind of grim, dark feel to this. So although, you can see from the box art there, the colours are kind of two-tone and fairly sort of muted, and the artwork's a bit grim dark. I'm going to come up with something that sort of works. So the feudal knights, the Bretonnian knights, will have a splash of colour on them, but the rest of the peasants and the squires and things are going to be a little on the, as I said, the grim dark side, because that's kind of what I like. So anyway, here you are. You're seeing that unit now as I've built it. This has been my little conversion project, taking Bretonnian heads and sticking them to Fireforge plastic figures to get me that kind of look that I'm after with that unit. I think it works really well. I think it's cool. It may not be to your taste, but if it is, then hopefully it's something you might think about trying with your own old world or Bretonnian projects that you've got on the go. The other thing, you can probably see a few more figures in the background. I'll just bring up the female that I've been building here, this kind of sort of old lady that I'm putting together for Dead Man's Hand. I thought that the basket would be something that could, contain chicken feed, and I'm already doing something similar for my medieval peasants for Bretonnia or the Empire. So this is a Dead Man's Hand female gunslinger body and head. The arms are both from the medieval folk rabble from Fireforge. The hen is from Dead Man's Hand, and I did a hand swap on this. So I just cut the hand off the medieval arm and cut a hand holding a pistol or a revolver or whatever, 6-shooter, from the Dead Man's Hand range, and created this character for one of my Dead Man's Hand games. I will be featuring that later. Just thought I'd show you while we're here. I know it's not Bretonnian, but it's showing the flexibility. So like I said, I've shown you these before. The females, there's some kind of farm peasants there that I've been working on. So I'm going to get a unit, and it also strikes me, and I'll be using these, as I said, in some of my Vampire Counts stuff, because you can put together a unit of thralls, if they still do that, I don't know, but it has that sort of vibe. The weapons on these sprues as well are chunky, and really quite gorgeous. They fit in with all the old skeleton scythes and things that you could get in the and the zombie sprues that I did touch on in a previous Old World video. Again, I'll be reviewing all those and talking about my projects a lot more. So coming back to the Bretonnians though, I did show this off in a previous video because, as I said before, these are the Fireforge medieval archers that I've built and used with Fireforge heads for my historical stuff. And you can see the poses there that I've been very careful how I put these together and try to create something that works better than I feel the box art does and the studio build. So I've shown these in a previous video that seems to be gaining a bit of interest on YouTube at the moment, and that's great. I've also featured these, which again are Fireforge cavalry models, and I'll be looking at these in different videos, but these guys, this one here has Victrix medieval knight arms and a helmet, and this one has a weapon arm from the Victrix medieval knights pack, and again I looked at those in a different video. Now these horses here, I've picked up another box of miniatures with those horses in. I'll just show you that quickly because again I'll be reviewing these before I build them. I did have some criticism of some of the other boxes that they've done, but this is absolutely what I'm looking for, and I'm going to have a go at making some Bretonnian yeomen out of these, and that will be a separate video. That's why I'm just mentioning this now, because this video is all about Bretonnian army building, and particularly this unit of squires. But the other thing I wanted to show you very quickly is these guys here. Again, these are built from the Fireforge folk rabble, and as I said before, I've got no interest in this at all. The guys don't sponsor me. I don't know them. They're not paying me to do this or anything. I don't get any money for these YouTube videos. No sponsorship. Nobody sends me free stuff. I'm just, frothing about a hobby that I love. This is a Bretonnian head again on a Fireforge folk rabble body. This chap carrying a bucket, and I'll come to that in a second. I've got one here carrying a spade. Same principle. Fireforge folk rabble body, Bretonnian head. Yeah, I'm conscious of time. I've gone on longer than I wanted, but I'm right. And again, here, Bretonnian head on a folk rabble body, and there's a nice sort of pickaxe there. And finally, Bretonnian head on another Fireforge folk rabble body. So let's just put him down there. Yeah, let's put him in front of, actually swap this one. Oh, there's, because there's one I did again in my squires. So you can see if I just shove him in there, there's it's pretty good scale-wise, the size-wise, the Bretonnian head fits well. So these chaps here, which I shall just lay back out again, these four chaps here that I've done, to me, very much an engineer's vibe. And what I might do is create a little vignette that they can just go out on the tabletop, maybe if they're on a round base that's used as an objective marker or something, or it's just a terrain feature with these guys on, then it shows that they're not relevant to the battle at all, to the war game. They have no role as combatants. But the other thing I'm thinking with these guys is they could be crew for a trebuchet, and I will be looking at that in a different video. So I think that just about wraps it up for now, with this little look at Bretonnian Squires and how you can make a nice characterful unit using head swaps from GW models, some old GW metals, and some bits and pieces available from other manufacturers. So that's my unit of squires. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks ever so much for sticking with it. If you're still here listening to me, please continue to like and subscribe. It really does help me work out what to talk about, what to show you guys, the kind of things that I can review that are helpful to you in your own modeling projects. So yeah, thanks ever so much. If you like this video, please smash that like button again, and take care, look after yourselves. I'll see you in the next one. Toodaloo.